everyone, I hope all of you are doing good. I'm Roshni from LearnerHub, the free learning platform where you get to learn anything and everything absolutely for free at learnerhub.com. So I am here today with the second video of the video series on coal and petroleum class 8 science, and in this video we are going to talk about the detailed process of formation of coal, and also we will talk about the uses of coal. Now, needless to mention, destructive distillation of coal, which is a very important topic, is also covered in this video. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. So coal, I'm sure all of you would have seen coal, you would have used coal. So coal, as far as look is concerned, they are hard, black, rock-like, however lighter, so they look like rocks but they are not as heavy as rocks. Carbon is what makes coal such a valuable resource of energy. So the carbon content in coal is very high. Now, and that is why when we burn coal, a lot of energy is produced because we are actually burning carbon. So a lot of carbon dioxide gets released. When we burn coal, what is happening? It burns in presence of air, in presence of oxygen. So carbon combines with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. Now, the most interesting part, how coal was formed. Now, we already got an idea about the formation of fossil fuels. So, the similar story with coal as well. So, it was formed from trees and plants. Now, several years ago, there were a lot of areas which were covered with dense forests. Now, due to several catastrophic reasons, and one such reason like floods, what happened was all these dense forests, they were all devastated and they all went under water. Because when flood happens, so it's like you have too much of water everywhere. So all these forests were spoiled, and all the trees, plants, herbs, shrubs, everything, they went under the soil, they went under the water. So during floods, they all got buried. Now what happens? Now when they got buried, so see, before flood, this is how it was. Too many plants, too many forests everywhere. Now after floods, all the plants, they died. They were all uprooted and they went under the soil. So you see, this is all water now. So the dead plants are now covered with water. So water came on top of the dead plants. Now, over a period of time, what happened was more and more soil got deposited over them. So here you see, initially there was little bit of soil. Now gradually it was not only that soil, there were big rocks, there were smaller rocks, there were stones and more soil, and as the content of the soil, rocks and everything increased here, what was happening? These dead plants were basically getting compressed. So they were getting squeezed. Now when they were getting squeezed, all the water which was present in the dead plants, they started getting released. Now at the same time, these dead plants were also going deeper inside. So the temperature was also increasing, because if you remember in our previous lesson, we spoke about the structure of the earth. We said that we have a core. So earth looks like a sphere. At the center you have the core, then you have the mantle, and then outside you have the crust. And the temperature is maximum in the interior. So core has the highest temperature, and as you come out to the crust and then to the earth's surface, the temperature start decreasing. Now in this case, what is happening is, now as the dead plants are going deeper, they are basically going towards the center of the earth. So they are actually going towards a region where the temperature is also increasing. So many things are happening simultaneously. These dead plants, they are getting squeezed due to more and more soil, more and more rocks getting deposited over it. Therefore, they are losing out all the water present within them. So they are becoming dry. At the same time, they are going deeper because more and more materials are getting deposited over it. Now, as they are going deeper, they are exposed to high temperature and high pressure. So, as a result of this high temperature, high pressure, losing all the water, so these three things together result in the conversion of the dead plant remains into coal. However, this entire process of conversion doesn't happen overnight. It takes millions of years to take place, and that is why the process of coal formation is very, very slow. Now, do you think that we will be able to produce coal artificially? Now, we know that, okay, this is the process by which coal is formed. Now, can we create an artificial atmosphere where coal can be formed? That is not really feasible, because we do not have so much of time, because the process is so gradual that even if we create an atmosphere like this inside a laboratory, we cannot afford to spend millions of years, right? Because this process is extremely gradual, and that is why coal is a very precious resource, because it is exhaustible. At the same time, we cannot create or we cannot make coal artificially. So this is how coal was formed, and this entire process of coal formation is called carbonization. Why is it called carbonization? Because it derived the name from carbon. So carbon content in coal is very high, so it is called carbonization. Now, since coal is formed deep inside the earth, it is deep under the ground, therefore it needs to be mined, or it needs to be taken out from below the ground using different techniques and methods. So now, these techniques and methods, when we talk about them, then we talk about coal mines. And what are coal mines? These are nothing but excavation or digging up in the earth to obtain coal. So basically, there are certain areas where there are more deposits of coal. Why there are more deposits? Because maybe once upon a time, millions of years ago, there were a lot of forests out there which got buried under the soil due to floods. So in those regions, we have more deposits of coal, and that is why you do not have coal mines located anywhere and everywhere. For example, in India, a state where coal mines are a state which is famous or popular for coal mines is Jharkhand. So there you have a lot of coal mines, and this is how a coal mine looks. So here in the picture also you can see a coal mine. So basically, since we saw that coal is formed deep inside the earth, so we have to actually dig as long as we do not reach there where coal is present, and that's how we have to obtain the coal from there. So coal mining, being formed deep under the earth, it is mined using different methods. So let us look at some of the methods by which coal is mined. So one is underground mining, one is surface mining, and the third one is mountain top mining. So what are each of these? So now let us spend some time quickly to understand how each of these different methods work. So we will start with underground mining. Now the name gives us a little bit of hint, like since the coal deposits will be underground, so we are going to mine it somehow from there. So here the miners, they dig tunnels down into the earth to find coal seams. So basically you see here you can see a person sitting inside a tunnel. Now since the coal is deep under the ground, so what you do is you construct a tunnel, and the tunnel goes deep into the earth, and you dig it until and unless you find that coal deposits. Now, as I said before also, that coal deposits are not found everywhere. There are specific locations where probability of finding coal mines are more. So that is where these kind of tunnels are being dug. Now, since these tunnels are dug underground, it is known as underground mining. So automated equipment dig rooms into seams. So basically there are equipments which can do things automatically rather than manual labor involved, and those equipments can actually create rooms inside the coal seams as well, and that's how you actually do the entire process of mining. So this entire process of mining takes place underground through these tunnels. Now, as the digging continues, a conveyor system carries the coal back to the surface. So, have you ever seen a conveyor belt which is present on the airport? Now, when you go to collect your baggage, after you get down from a flight, you would have seen the conveyor belt. So it looks somewhat like this. So it keeps rotating like this, and your bags and suitcases, they are placed here. So as it rotates, it reaches near you and you pick your suitcase up. So that's how the conveyor belt works. So a similar type of system is present here also. So what happens is the real miners who are actually bringing down the coal, where are they present? They are present underground, right, inside the tunnels. Now as this digging happens, we also need to carry the coal from underground and bring it to the surface, and there is huge amount of coal, right? So what is done is, as the digging happens, the amount of coal which is being collected, that is passed to the surface through a conveyor system like this. So a similar type of system, the one which you see in the airport, a very similar type of system actually helps to carry the coal from underground to the surface. So that's how the process of underground mining happens. However, there are certain disadvantages associated with underground mining. One is mine gases can suffocate miners, because now if you look at the miners, the person who are actually involved in mining the coal, they are present underground and they are present inside those tunnels. So those tunnels are nothing but they are kind of rooms inside the coal mines. Now just imagine, it is going to be quite suffocating because you cannot move freely. It is just one room which is underground, and that too which is surrounded by coal everywhere. So it can be suffocating. And also, what is coal? Coal has high carbon content. So the kind of gases which will get emitted inside a coal mine, that they are also not very healthy. So suffocation might become a common thing for the miners. Mines collapse. Now sometimes it also happens that the mines collapse because there is so much of heat, there is so much of energy in coal, right? So it is also possible that it collapse or it catches fire. So that ways it can again be risky to the miners. Coal dust is harmful to health. Now, the dust which is produced due to presence of lot of coal. In fact, if you go to these kind of areas, like if you visit places in Jharkhand where coal mines are present, so there you can actually feel the presence of these kind of coal dust. So whenever you go out somewhere near the coal mine area, you can actually feel that blackish dust everywhere. And these dust can cause different diseases. It can cause asthma, it can cause breathing problems, so it can even cause allergies and cold. So that way also it is harmful to the health of miners, because in this mining the miner is always exposed to a closed area full of coal dust. The next type of coal mining is surface mining. So here we do not really go into underground, but we try to mine it being on the surface. So let's see, how do we do that? Here coal seams are often close to the surface rather than deep underground. Now this type of mining is suitable for those areas where the coal seams are not very deep inside. So if it is relatively closer to the surface, there we can follow this surface mining, because in this case it is faster, safer and more economical to dig the coal out from the top. So you remain on the surface, you remain on the top, you just dig the ground and try to bring the coal out to the surface. So that was absolutely, it is safer, because the miners here, nobody goes underground, so they are all on the surface. So at least they are not that much exposed to coal dust, or they are not that much getting suffocated because they are present on the surface. Again, the second thing is it is more economical, because in the previous case of underground mining, the entire tunnel had to be dug, the rooms have to be created in the coal mine. So all those things also involve cost. So all those costs are also saved. So that way also it is more economical. It is also faster, because you are also saving time. When you are not digging a tunnel, you are saving time, of course. So that way it is also faster. But the only disadvantage, I would say, that is associated with this is, this will not work if the coal seams are present very deep inside the earth, because in that case it is little difficult to bring it to the surface directly being on surface. So after peeling away the layer of soil over the coal, miners start digging out the coal seam using large equipment. So for digging purpose there are equipments available. So all they need to do is, since the coal seams are not very deep inside, so all they need to do is just remove the top layer of soil. Once that is removed, you should be able to find the coal seam, and then you start digging the coal seam using a bigger equipment so that you can bring out the coal to the surface. Third type of mining is mountain top mining. So what is this? So this is the least popular technique. So the most convenient, most easy technique would be the surface mining. However, this mountaintop mining is also used in many places. So here miners blast top of mountain and carry away the coal underneath. Now what happens is, wherever you have lot of coal deposits, now there might be certain areas where you have lot of coal below, but on top you have a huge mountain. So basically it has formed a huge mountain at the top. So in that case, what do these miners do? They blast the top of the mountain. So once you are able to blast the top of the mountain, what happens? The mountain gets exposed. You are basically removing the cover or the top cover of the mountain. So once the cover is removed, whatever is present inside gets exposed. And what is present inside in this case? Coal. So all the coal that is present underneath, they get exposed, and that's how the coal is obtained. Now once the mining is done, what do they do? The miners, they cover the base of the mountain with dirt and replant with trees. So they grow more trees in that area. However, since a blast has occurred, so everything has got burnt and all the coal has been extracted, so it actually takes a couple of years, maybe 10, 20, 30 years for that particular area to recover. So this is not a very popular technique, because you are basically devastating that area, and then you actually need to wait for a long time for that area to get recovered. So it is not a very advisable technique. However, in areas where they actually have a mountain beneath which a lot of coal is present, they do follow this technique. So that's how the coal is extracted from the coal mines. Now, once the coal is extracted from coal mines, so do you think that the coal which we get underneath, that is directly used for the various purposes which we have talked about? Like, where do we use coal? We use coal maybe in the villages. You would have seen that it is used for cooking purposes in the small stoves and all. So that is one place where you would have seen the use of coal. It is also used to generate electricity. So the energy received from coal is transformed into electric energy in the thermal power stations. But do you think the coal which we get as soon as we dig it, so the result of the coal which is obtained after coal mining, is that ready for all these uses? Well, not really. The coal needs to be processed, and that is why you have the coal processing stations. So what happens there? So in the picture you can actually see how a coal processing station would look like. So after processing, the coal needs to be washed, because there will be a lot of dirt, a lot of undesirable particles present over it. So it needs to be washed clearly, and it should also be crushed, because sometimes each piece of coal is like huge. So transporting such huge and heavy pieces of coal is really difficult. So in order to make it portable, it is crushed down into smaller pieces. They are washed properly. Now, the more amount of waste material that can be removed from coal, the lower is its ash content. So the lesser the undesirable particle in the coal, better it is, and lower is its transportation cost, and better is its market value. So therefore, all these processing of coal is done before it can be actually utilized for various purposes. So that's the next thing that happens. So first we saw, where is coal present? How is coal formed? It is formed over millions of years, and it is formed deep inside the earth. So how do we dig it out? By coal mining. So once we dig it out, then what do? Coal processing. Now once that is also done, now all these things are done using automated machines, as you can see in the picture. So I mean, it is not an easy task to crush these big huge pieces of coal. So obviously you need machines to do this for you. So that's how coal processing happens. So now when we talk about the various uses of coal, we see that coal is most popular as a fuel. It is most popular as a source of energy, something which can be burned to produce a lot of energy. So why is coal so popular as a fuel? Firstly, because it is formed naturally. I mean, we do not create it. So every time it is formed, we know it is going to be the same thing. So it is formed naturally. it has less mining costs. When you talk about other fuels, you see comparatively that the mining costs involved with coal is quite less. In fact, we discussed about some three techniques, right? The underground mining, surface mining, and mountain top mining. So out of this also we saw that in most of the cases, most commonly used technique is the surface mining, and that involves very less cost. So the cost, it is more economical also. Huge energy generation. So coal can actually produce a lot of energy. So, and I hope you can understand that because of that only, the energy which is produced out of coal, that is used to generate electricity, and for that purpose we have set up so many thermal power plants which are running only with their dependency on coal. So they have the ability to generate huge amount of energy. So mostly the only thing that can help you to understand how much that energy is the generation of electricity, because you can see the thermal power plants, right? They are able to produce so much of electricity, and what is their source? Their source of energy is nothing but coal. So these are some of the properties of coal which makes it very popular as a fuel. So there we talk about the thermal power plant. So in these plants, they convert the heat energy into electrical energy. And from where do they get this heat energy? By burning coal. So when they burn coal, a lot of heat energy is produced, and this heat energy is then converted into electrical energy. So heat energy is generated by burning huge amount of fossil fuels. Many thermal power plants are located near coal or oil fields. That's because then they get their raw material nearby. So as I said, coal field areas. Now in every country you have some specific coal field areas where there are a lot of coal mines present inside. So if you establish a thermal power plant near to that area, then it helps because coal is present in the nearby location. So you can actually utilize that coal to produce heat energy, and then the heat energy can be converted into electrical energy. So for that convenience, the thermal power plants are always set up near coal fields or oil fields, because oil again is, when I say oil, I am talking about petroleum. So that is also a fossil fuel, that is also a very rich source of energy. Now, not only a source of energy, a lot of other useful products are also obtained from coal. So let us see what are the useful products that can be obtained from coal. One is coke, coal tar, coal gas, liquid ammonia. So these are some of the very useful products. Now we will talk about the uses of each of these, that why I am saying that they are useful products. So we will talk about their uses. We will also talk about how exactly they are produced from coal. So now the question is, how do we get these useful products out of coal? How do we obtain them from coal? So for that purpose, we have this process called destructive distillation of coal. Now this is a type of distillation where the coal is completely destructed to give all these useful products like coal tar, coal gas, coke, and we will see now how exactly this process happens. Now what do we basically do here? We just heat the coal to a temperature of almost more than 1000 degrees Celsius, and that too in absence of air. So without air, without oxygen, we heat the coal to a very high temperature of 1000 degrees Celsius. Now what happens when we start heating coal to such a high temperature in absence of air? So let's see exactly what's going to happen then. So we will look at the entire arrangement, the entire apparatus, how we will set it up so that we can get the various products out of coal. So for this purpose, we would need a horizontal glass tube. As you can see here, this is the horizontal glass tube. We would need another vertical glass tube. We would need some coal pieces. As you can see here, these are the coal pieces. So basically we are going to heat these pieces of coal. We also need a vertical tube. So here you can see the vertical tube. Now the two tubes are arranged in such a way that they are connected to each other. So you see this glass pipe connects the horizontal tube with the vertical tube. We take some water in the vertical tube. As you can see, some water is present in the vertical tube, and we need a burner. to heat the coal. So here you have the burner. So that's all we need to carry out destructive distillation of coal. Now what is going to happen when we heat this coal? So let's see. Now what we observe is, as we heat the coal, some colorless vapors are formed, and these colorless vapors move through these tube and reach the vertical tube. And these colorless vapors condense to form a black viscous layer at the bottom of the vertical tube, and this layer is called coal tar. So if you see, it is a dark viscous layer. So coal tar is a dark, almost black in color. It is a viscous liquid, so it seems to be very thick in nature. So basically you can actually see it for yourself, that over a period of time, from here you can see some vapors. Those vapors travel down the vertical tube, and then in the vertical tube, after some time, they form this dark viscous layer at the bottom, and this is called coal tar. So that's how coal tar is formed. Now when you observe little more closely, you will see that there are some other vapors which form a colorless layer. So as you can see here, the color is it doesn't have any specific color, this layer. So this colorless layer which is present just above the coal tar, so that is called the liquid ammonia, because it has been found that this layer contains a lot of dissolved ammonia. So this layer is the liquid ammonia. So that's how we get liquid ammonia from coal. Now, yet again, what do we see? That there are certain vapors which do not react in any way. They do not get condensed. They do not form any layer in the vertical tube. But what do? They just go out of this vertical tube. So we can actually see some vapors coming out of this tube. So these vapors are nothing but coal gas. So that's how again we got another product out of coal. And finally, what do we see? That when all the coal is already heated and all these vapors have been formed, so whatever residue is left over in the horizontal tube, that is coke. So the coke which is left out here is, you can see, it is almost the purest form of carbon, because it contains more than 60% of carbon in it. So that's how we derived 4 different components from coal. Now why is it called destructive distillation? Because we have destructed the coal. The coal is no more there. But instead of coal, we have so many different useful products: coke, coal gas, liquid ammonia, coal tar. So we got 4 different products from coal. Now you might say that I have been telling since that time that these are useful products. So how are they useful? In what way can we use them? So we will discuss about uses of each of these components which we get as a result of destructive distillation of coal. But before that, let us have a quick review of the various components which we received here. So coal tar, which was coal tar? It was the black viscous layer at the bottom. So this layer was coal tar. Liquid ammonia was the colorless layer above coal tar. So this grayish layer, which is not actually gray, it is actually colorless. There is no color for this layer. So that is liquid ammonia. The unreacted vapor which gets released out, that is nothing but the coal gas. And finally, the porous black residue left in the horizontal tube, that is coke. So this is coke. So these were the 4 different components, or the 4 different products received as a result of destructive distillation. So let's talk about coal tar. So as I said, it is a black viscous liquid. So if you actually put it in a vessel, you can actually feel how viscous and how thick it is, and it is completely black in color. It has an unpleasant smell. So the smell is so bad that you can actually feel its presence nearby. However, it can be useful in manufacturing a lot of products like perfumes, plastics, paints, medicines, naphthalene balls. So these are some of the things where, during manufacturing these things, coal tar turns out to be a useful thing. So it helps in producing so many different substances. So that means it is a useful thing. Next is liquid ammonia. So liquid ammonia is that colorless layer where we find a lot of dissolved ammonia. It acts as an excellent fertilizer for better plant growth. Now, I hope all of you know what is a fertilizer. So these are nothing but substances which when added to the soil increases or enhances the productivity of the plants. Because for better growth and development, what do plants need? They need several nutrients, they need several minerals, so they need a lot of things which can help in their growth, and all these things are present in the fertilizers. Now ammonia, what is ammonia? Ammonia is NH3. So ammonia contains nitrogen, and nitrogen is an excellent thing for plant growth. So nitrogen is a macronutrient, a nutrient which is needed in large quantities by plants. So that ways liquid ammonia acts as an excellent fertilizer, and that thus it can help in agricultural aspects. So here in this picture you can actually see that in a corn field nitrogen fertilizer is being applied using this tractor. Next is coal gas. Coal gas, it is a mixture of several gases like methane, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, and small amounts of many other gases. So like a lot of gases together form the coal gas. This coal gas is mostly used as a source of heat rather than source of light, because the coal gas can be used as a source of light also. In earlier days it used to be used as a source of light, but these days it is mostly used as a source of heat. It is a flammable gaseous fuel and it can be supplied to the user via pipeline. So pipeline distribution system, with the help of pipes it can be transported from one place to another. Now before this natural gas supplies came up, coal gas was also used as a fuel, and it was term called a lightning gas, because you see, because it could have been used as a source of light. That was one advantage. The second advantage was that it could be transported very easily with the help of pipelines. So that was coal gas. So it is still now it is used as a fuel, an excellent fuel in industries. And the last one is coke. So coke is the porous black substance which is left as a residue after all the coal is burnt. So it is almost a pure form of carbon because it contains almost 60% carbon, which is a very big percentage. It is used in the manufacturing of steel, because during the process of steel manufacturing, it is used as a reducing agent. Now in fact, you would be surprised to know that there are certain advantages which are associated with coke when compared to coal. Like coal is used for what kind of purposes? Like you burn coal and you generate a lot of energy. So that's how we make use of coal. Now if you use coke instead of coal, you would see that the advantages with coke are more. Why? That's because in case of coke, when you use coke as a fuel, the smoke producing constituents are driven off during coke formation. So when coke is formed from coal, during that time, whatever components produce a lot of smoke and cause air pollution, all those components are removed. So therefore coke is basically more clean when compared to coal. So when you burn coke, so the air pollution is less. So that means coke is a cleaner fuel when compared to coal. So coke is also a desirable fuel for stoves and furnaces. So it is also used as substitute of coal in domestic heating purposes. Now I hope you understood why it is used as a substitute, because it is a cleaner fuel when compared to coal, and it is also a more efficient fuel when compared to coal. So these are the various useful products which are obtained from coal. Now not only this, coke can also be used to produce a lot of different gases. For example, when hot steam is passed over coke. So coke, what is coke? Chemically, coke is like carbon. It is, as I said, it contains More than 50% of it is made up of carbon. So when hot steam is passed over it, then the water vapor, the hot water vapor reacts with the carbon to form carbon monoxide and hydrogen. So this mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen forms water gas. So basically we can say that this water gas in turn helps in preparing coal gas. So that's how we can say that coke acts as the starting material for preparing coal gas and water gas. So that way is also we can say that that is also another advantage of having coke.
So children, I hope you found the video useful. If you have a feedback or a request which you want to make, please do share that in the comment section. We would be more than happy to hear from you. And I will meet you all very soon with a new video, with a new topic. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.